And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Okay, for Saturday morning, we've got some IFR here from the eastern Seward Peninsula, right on up across the Koyukuk Valley into the Yukon Flats and northward to the eastern Arctic coast. Some more IFR here through the Bering Strait, northern Bering Sea here, and along the southwest coast. Southern Bering Sea looking pretty good, as well as most of the Aleutians VFR, also the Alaska Peninsula and the Bristol Bay VFR, and Kodiak Island included, up into Cook Inlet with IFR here over the Kenai Peninsula into northern Cook Inlet to start the day with up along the North Gulf Coast. And for the southeast coast, marginal VFR. That holds through Saturday afternoon here for the Panhandle. Pretty much marginal conditions there. Narrow band of IFR here up across Prince William Sound from the Gulf of Alaska, Middleton Island, right on up into the Susitna Valley to right around Denali Park. And then north of the mountains there, we've got good VFR all the way up to the Brooks Range, and then some VFR, marginal VFR, and IFR for the north slope to the Arctic coast. IFR, a strip here to the, from the Cape Lisburne Point Hope area down through the Bering Strait across St. Lawrence Island, and just to about St. Paul, but Bristol Bay off the coast there, Nunivak Island, VFR, all of the Aleutians, VFR, Alaska Peninsula, some marginal VFR here along the Bering Sea side, right on up in toward King Salmon. And then for Sunday morning, pretty good over interior Alaska, mostly VFR, as you can see here, maybe some marginal VFR along the central western Arctic coast. Small area of IFR here, St. Lawrence Island down to St. Matthew Island there, marginal VFR for the Pribilofs. Otherwise, some IFR here over the southwest interior, northeast Bristol Bay area could slip up into the southern Kuskokwim Valley, a little bit here in the Tanana Valley, and marginal VFR, Cook Inlet, Kodiak Island, on up into the North Gulf Coast for the morning. Aleutians, VFR, and that holds through Sunday afternoon. Still a strip of IFR here now, mainly St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait, and marginal VFR possible for the western Arctic coast. Good VFR interior Alaska. And now the next system, storm system here, spreading IFR up in across the Copper River Basin, down across Prince William Sound, into Cook Inlet, and right along the east side of Kodiak Island. Lower conditions, Lynn Canal Glacier Bay, possible marginal or possible IFR up toward Haines to Skagway, VFR for the remainder of the southeast coast. And four passes tomorrow, Anatuvik, lower conditions early on, becoming VFR. That same forecast also for Adigan, lowest conditions in the morning hours, becoming VFR throughout the day. And Lake Clark and Merrill, improvement there as well. IFR to VFR, rainy, IFR to marginal VFR. So the Western Alaska range showing some improvement through the afternoon hours from what you'll have in the morning. Windy, marginal VFR to VFR. Isabel and Mentasta going for VFR at this point in time. And for Tanita, IFR, Portage looking good with VFR flying through Portage Pass there. And Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR. For the freezing levels here, near or south of the Aleutians, south of Kodiak Island, south of the North Gulf Coast, cutting into the southern coast of the Panhandle, 2,000 feet down toward the Queen Charlotte's out there, and freezing levels aloft south of the Aleutians. Icing, nothing expected out here in the west of any significance, or interior Alaska, maybe some possible isolated light icing up there over the eastern north slope to the Arctic coast. And then also the best chance of considerable moderate rime icing would be across the eastern Panhandle. And that due to southwest flow right off the Gulf there, 85 to 105 knots, extending from just south of the Alaska Peninsula there, right in across with the strongest winds over the northern southeast coast. A trough here in the interior for lighter winds, and then on the west side of that feature, north to northeast winds, 75 to 80 knots over the Bering Sea. And at 3,000 feet, we've got some northerlies for the most part, turning northeast at 40 knots there over the eastern Bering Sea into the Aleutians. Lighter over the interior, west 40 knots blowing across the Aleutian Range there, 55 knots just south of Kodiak Island, and then southwest 40 to 80 knots over the southern southeast coast. And at 3,000 feet, 60-knot winds, Dixon entrance to extreme southern panhandle there. Otherwise, westerlies 30 in the Gulf and north to northeast 35 knots there, blowing out of the Yukon Delta. Then a more extensive area of north to northeast winds here from the Chukchi Sea, right on down into the central Aleutians. And with that, there'll be isolated moderate turbulence here from Kivalina and the northwest coast, probably not affecting Point Lay, but across St. Lawrence Island, Pribilofs, moderate turbulence for the Aleutians there, west of Nikolsky, on out to Amchitka Island, possible light to isolated moderate turbulence for the Aleutian Range there. Otherwise, pretty smooth for interior Alaska. And then with those stronger winds here for the southern panhandle, look for moderate turbulence there, especially, well, throughout most of the day.